everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Caroline and I make sewing tutorials and sewing patterns to help you along the sewing journey. And today's video is the third episode of my Sewing My Pinterest Board series, and it's a very special episode because I'll be sewing the outfits that I'll take with me to my very first trip to Europe. I'm not sure if by the time this video is released, I'll already have mentioned the trip somewhere else. By the end of May and through June, I'll be visiting the UK, the Netherlands, and France. And to me, there's nothing more special than to make some of my outfits to wear during the trip. Here are the fabrics that I plan on using. Not all of them. I'll get to that in a bit. But I have to say that in the beginning, I was a little bit naive because when I thought about the end of spring and the beginning of summer, I thought it would be warmer. But after I checked the average temperature in May in London and Amsterdam, I came back to reality and I had to change my plans for a bit because you guys' warmer weather is still colder than our winters here in Rio. And on top of that, I'm also someone who feels really cold really easily. So I guess for most of the trip, I'll not be able to wear a lot of dresses. Maybe in the end, when we finally reach summer or when we're in the south of France, because apparently it's a little bit warmer, we'll see. I will still sew a couple of dresses to take with me because I love making dresses and I'm even more inspired to make them now. But I also got some wool to make a jacket, a skirt, and a pair of pants. Because the thing is, I am totally clueless. I'm trying to anticipate how I'm going to feel, but Rio is almost always like this. I'll take a photo of my window so you guys can understand what I mean. Today's even chill. Like, I have my windows closed and I'm not dying out of the heat. And I think it's like 28 degrees outside, like we're in the middle of autumn. Our winters maybe hit like 18 degrees on a colder day. So I'm not sure how well I'm going to handle nighttime in London. That is definitely way below that. So I guess like 13 degrees for me might be the equivalent of like 2 degrees for most of you who are used to colder weathers. I don't know. So I will need warmer clothes, and for that I got a few different types of wool. I got these 3 thicker wools here with the intention of making a jacket, which will be the most intricate project on this video. I got 3 because I couldn't really decide just by looking at the website photos. I'm not gonna make 3 to take with me, just 1. But I do plan on making a jacket pattern eventually, so I got 2 more because I'm gonna have to sew it again on camera anyways. And I still haven't completely decided which color I'm going to make, but out of the green, the brown, and the gray, I'm kind of tending more towards the green. I'm not sure if the camera is capturing well the color, but I think out of these options is the one that matches my personal color palette the most. But at the same time, it might be a little bit harder to match with other outfits, so I don't know. But I'll make a jacket, a wool jacket, and it's gonna have like a collar on the front, buttons on the front, and I'll have to line it as well because this wool is pretty itchy. And for this lighter wool here that is black, I think you can see that like it drapes way more than the other one that was pretty stiff. I got this one with the intention of making a half circle skirt to take with me, and it's also 100% wool, by the way, so it's gonna be warm. But now I'm thinking that maybe I should make an A-line skirt instead of half circle skirt because it would use less fabric and will be less heavy, which is something that I have to be mindful of because of the space on the luggage and all of that. So I think I'm going to make an A-line skirt with this. And I also got this black satin right here to line the skirt because wool is pretty itchy, but this one isn't that much, at least on my hands. I don't know how I'll feel like when it's in contact with my legs. I also got this 100% cotton poplin here. I'm now noticing that I just got natural fibers. Basically, I think the only one that wasn't natural was this one because it's probably polyester, but the other ones are all cotton or wool. But my original intention was to make a dress with this, with like a gathered skirt, like a tiered gathered skirt. But after thinking about it for a little bit, I think it might be better for me to make it as a 2-piece set instead of like one dress. Like make a skirt and then make a top with the same fabric that I can wear together, but at the same time having a waistband. I think it would be helpful if I want to tuck in a sweater or something like that, which I wouldn't be able to do with a full dress without a waistband. But I think for the top, I want to make something simple. So I think I'm just going to make like a straight neckline top with maybe like some bow ties for the straps. The next fabric hasn't arrived yet because the first option that I got wasn't really good. It didn't have really good quality, so I purchased another one. It's also 100% cotton poplin, but it's white, like off-white. My intention with that is to make a dress like this one that I'm going to put in the screen with princess seams and a lower neckline, but this time I wanted to make it midi and without the actual ties, like just make it a normal strap. Kind of like this one that I found on Pinterest because I feel like it's gonna be really chic. I don't know if we'll get here in time for this video, but I really hope so because I want to make this as my next pattern. I have already made the pattern, sampled it, and altered what I needed. So my intention was to grade it before my trip so you guys can start testing it while I'm out, like for the month that I'm gone. And then when I get back, I would alter what needs to be altered, film the video tutorial, and release the pattern. But I think I might be getting a little bit too greedy because I'm already pretty overwhelmed with all the planning and everything that I have to do before I leave. So if it doesn't get here, my plans will be delayed for a little bit, but that's okay. But I do want this design to be my next pattern, so stay tuned. Oh, and I also got more wool fabric to make another version of the Sarah Pants free pattern by fabricstore.com. I have actually already started on it. I don't know if the camera will capture it really well, but I have already almost sewn the entire pants. I just need to sew the waistband to it and also hem the bottom of the pants. This fabric is like 25% polyester and 75% wool, and I don't know if the camera is capturing it that well. There was a piece of stay tape glued to it, but it has like these very subtle vertical lines to it, which I thought was really pretty, but I'm almost done with this. And the last fabric that I have to show you guys is this floral cotton crepe here. I honestly think these match so well with each other. They're all like within the same theme. They're so spring-like. This one is very drapey and very soft, so I think I'm going to make an AIMEE by Skirt dress with it because the AIMEE dress is probably the one that I reach out the most whenever I go out. I have like many of them, and I always end up choosing one when I go out. The silhouette is one of my favorites ever, so I think I'll be very comfortable whenever I choose to wear this during the trip. And it's also pretty fast to make. I think I can make it in like 2.5–3 hours. I got this fabric sent to me by Yard Blocks. I'm going to link their website in the description. And I bought all of the other wools and the cotton from the same store called De Palma Tecidos, but it's a Brazilian store, so it probably won't be accessible to most of you because I highly doubt they ship internationally. I believe Yard Block ships worldwide, but the other one doesn't. I always get asked where I get my fabrics from. Sometimes I even get sent emails, and most of the time it's gonna be from a Brazilian store, so it's a bit harder for most of you to get the same, but I'll put it in the description anyways. And also, something else that I always get asked a lot is how much fabric I got, or like how much fabric I used for certain projects. I think a lot of times I mention it during the video, but I think I'll start writing down in the description as well, because sometimes I get comments asking that like months after the video was released, so I just really don't remember. So I'll make an effort to start adding this type of information in the description of the video. There's a butterfly. And also to be a little more precise with like the fabric composition, the weight of the fabric that I use, because I know it can be helpful if you want to make something similar. I think I'll start with the gingham two-piece set today because there's a lot I have to do, and I don't feel like I'm ready to start with the jacket yet because I think it's gonna be a little bit too overwhelming. But before I go get started, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning platform for creative people like us, with so many classes to choose from that are taught by industry experts, people who are leaders in their field. And it's a great place for you to learn almost anything you like. You can find classes about illustration, design, photography, cooking, sewing, productivity, and so much more. One thing I really want to do while I'm in Europe is to take as many photos as I can. When I'm back, I want to make a physical album of every city that I visited. So I went ahead to search for photography classes on Skillshare, and there were so many options. I have already taken 2 different classes by Sean Dalton. The first one is Travel Photography, How to Document and Share Your Next Trip. And the second one was Travel Street Photography, Telling Visual Stories with Powerful Street Photos. They were both really great classes. I actually used to study photography when I was younger, but back then I was mostly interested in portraits. So now I was able to remember a lot of the fundamentals and also get a lot of great tips on travel and street photography. I have both of his classes linked in the description of the video. And if you'd like to join me and start learning or perfecting a new skill, the first 500 people to use my link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now let's go get started. I think before I even start cutting the tiers for the skirt, I'm going to cut the pattern pieces for the top. I have already shown you how to make the pattern and also how to sew this top in detail before. It's kind of an old video. I think it was released in 2023 maybe, but it was a video where I made 3 different tops, and the one that I'm going to recreate today is the yellow one with the pink flowers. I'm going to link that video in the description, and I have also already shown you how to make a tiered gathered skirt here on my channel. I'll also link that video in the description. description. I go into a lot of detail in that video, so if you're a beginner, I do recommend checking that out. But I will also tell you the exact measurements that I use for this skirt. I will eventually put it on the screen because I'm not completely sure now. But making a tiered gathered skirt is very simple. In my case, I'm going to make it with 3 different tiers. So I'm going to cut 3 very long rectangles, and the second one is going to be wider than the first one, and the third one is going to be wider than the second one. And I'm going to gather the top and sew one to the other, and then I'm going to fold the top of it and add an elastic inside. So it's even simpler because we don't need a separate waistband piece. So I'm going to get started now. So I've got all of the rectangles and now I'm going to sew them together. The first one is going to be 150 centimeters wide. And after I cut the bodice pieces, I cut like vertically on the side. So I wouldn't take, how can I explain this? I cut so I would take the width out of the fabric and not the length, because it would be easier for me to just join them together later. I don't know if this made sense. But each one of the leftover tiers that I cut are around 110 centimeters wide, because each panel piece cut off like 30 centimeters on the sides. So now I'm going to join 2 of them together and 3 of them together. So I'm going to have the first tier with 145-ish centimeters wide. The second will be 220 centimeters wide. And the third one is going to be 330 centimeters wide. And after they're sewn, I'm just going to gather the top and sew them to each other. Very simple. After I finished the skirt, I started sewing the top right away. The sewing parts are pretty straightforward as well. You just need to sew the center fronts to the side fronts, and then the side back to the side fronts. So my original intention was to make tie straps, like so one to the front and one to the back, and then tie them like a bow. But the fabric I had wasn't enough to make them super long. I ended up making 2 longer straps that I cut in half later. But after cutting, they ended up looking a little bit too short to make a bow. So I'll show you in a bit what I think I'm going to do instead. But I decided to line the entire top. So I just placed the lining on top of the shell and I sewed them at the top, and then I understitched so the lining wouldn't show. And I also decided to add a center back sheared panel, just like I did with the yellow flower top. So I placed the sheared panel in between the lining and the shell layers, and I sewed them so it could be in between, and it looks so clean in the end. But since the fabric is a bit stiffer and my last top is a little bit complicated to put it on and take it off, like nothing that stops me from putting it on and taking it off, but it's a little bit more complicated. I also decided to add a zipper to the side, an invisible zipper, but I decided to sew it like upside down. I don't know if it makes sense, but like from the waist upwards instead of from the top down, like here. And I also added the zipper in between the shell and the lining layer, so it would be very neat on the inside, but it was so complicated to do because of this center back sheared panel that was also sewn here. It just made it way too complicated. I don't think I would put the zipper in the middle again. I think you can see like I have to leave like this huge opening here that I'm gonna have to hand sew it closed later, so I could turn the top right size out later. But this panel is so like narrow that it made everything really hard. I wouldn't recommend doing it like this if you add a center back sheared panel that is sewn on to both layers. I think I would still add the zipper, but I just wouldn't line it because it was very convenient to have this side zipper. It's way easier to put the top on now. But after that, the top was basically finished. I just hemmed the bottom as usual. I still need to sew the strap to the back. I haven't done that yet because I wasn't completely sure on what I was gonna do, because after I pinned the straps to the back and I tied it, it seemed a little bit strange. Like, as I said, it was a little bit too short for the bow, and just leaving one was a little bit too empty. Like, I think if the strap was thicker, I would like having it here, but I think the straps were a little bit too narrow, and I don't know, it looked a bit empty. I didn't like it. So after trying it on, I pinned, kind of just to see what it would look like, I pinned the second strap right to the side of the first one. Like, it's not sewn yet, because this one is in between the lining, so it looks really neat, and this one isn't, because I didn't plan on doing that in the beginning. I placed it right next to it, and while I tried it on, it looked a lot more interesting, like having two straps side by side and having them a little bit away from each other. Like, it looked nice. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you afterwards when I try it on. I think you're gonna agree with me that it looks a little bit more interesting. But yeah, those are the things that I still have to do. I still need to sew the straps to the front and then sew them to the back. And I also need to close this by hand sewing, so it looks very neat on the inside. And it hides all of the raw edges. But I tried them both on. I tried the skirt that I finished on the first day, and I tried it together with the top, and it looks so cute because it really looks like a dress. And I also tried the skirt separately with different tops, and also the top with like pants, like denim. And I think I made the right call on making a two-piece set instead of a dress, because now it's gonna be so much more versatile. Like, I'm gonna have to get a lot more outfits out of these, which is great for the trip. I am really happy with them. They look so cute. And yesterday, after I was already done hemming the top and everything, I started working on the AIMEE Viscose dress, and I am so in love with the way that this turned out. I'm also going to rush a little bit through it because I have already shown you how to make this dress more than once on this channel, and I also already filmed a new version of the video tutorial that is probably gonna come live like after I'm back from the trip. But it's like 2-in-1, this new video. Like, the other ones are separate. The first one is the online version, and the second one that I posted had the fully lined tutorial. So this new video is gonna have both versions in one video, but the link to the two videos are going to be in the description if you want to check it out. And also, once the new video is out, I'm also going to update the description of this video. I'm saying video so many times, but it just looks so chic, this version. I think it's the fabric. I don't know, after I tried it on, I think it's definitely one of my favorites that I've ever done of this dress. It just looks so elegant. The fabric is like a cotton crepe that is really, really drapey and flowy, but also it's not 100% opaque. I don't know if you can see here, like see anything through, but it's a little bit see-through. Not a lot, but it does require a lining, which for this dress, at least for the bodice pieces, I do think when you line it, it makes it look way better on the outside because there aren't any visible stitch lines. Like when you finish it with the bias tape, you still have like the visible stitches here, but this is the neckline. For example, like everything on the outside is super clean, and on the inside you can see the understitching, but outside nothing. So I think it looks way better finished when you fully lined it. I haven't added the lining of the skirt yet because I still had to cut it, and I got a little bit lazy because I was kind of tired yesterday, but I still need to do that. Like once I add the skirt to here, this seam is going to be hidden, so it's going to be super well finished on the inside. But since it wasn't 100% opaque and this fabric is like basically white, it's like off-white, and the stay tape that I have is a darker gray, I was afraid that it was going to show on the outside of the fabric if I added like the entire thickness of the stay tape. So when I added the stay tape to stabilize the neckline, I decided to cut the stay tape in half so it would stay inside the seam allowance of the pattern. So that way I could just trim it off after sewing, and I think that was a really good idea. I think it worked out really well. And when I was sewing yesterday, I didn't feel like showing my face too much because I got my period and I was feeling pretty down, pretty bad. So I didn't want to put makeup on, get all dressed up. I just wanted to stay in my pajamas and sew. So that's what I did. And it was also raining the entire day, so I didn't have a lot of natural light. But I started sewing the bodice first because I needed to line it. So I sewed the front bodice to the back bodice at the shoulders. And I made sure to iron the seam open. It's very important. My iron was right next to me the whole time because it really does make a difference on the finished result. Then I sewed the lining to the shell at the neckline, flipped the seam allowance towards the lining and understitched it. And then I sewed them right sides together at the armhole and did the same thing. I understitched, and the dress was fully lined and all the seams were hidden on the inside. I was able to finish the bodice in the morning, and then all I had to do was sew the skirt panels to each other, right sides together. And I also added a tie to the waist so I could tie it in the back and make it a little bit tighter on my body, because this dress doesn't have a zipper or anything, so you do need a little bit more ease to put it on and take it off without a zipper. So the ties come in handy when you want to make it a little bit more form-fitting. And after that, I just had to gather the bottom of the top to sew to the top of the skirt. And as I said, I didn't add the lining of the skirt because I was a bit tired, but I do plan on doing this right now. Today, I'll finish it today. And I also haven't hemmed the skirt yet because I'm going to leave it hanging overnight after I add the lining so I can trim anything that deforms and then hem it. And I think I'm going to do like a baby hem, like a very thin hem, double folded hem. But so far I have 3 pieces down in 2 days. They are 100% my style. I just love the prints and I love the style lines as well. So I am absolutely in love with all 3 of them. And I think the green wool jacket will be a really nice match to both of them. I just really need to nail the pattern of the jacket because I want it to be oversized but not too oversized, you know? And I haven't made the pattern yet, which I'm a little bit scared to do because that's gonna be very important. I really want that jacket to turn out perfect. But that is my plan for today. I do want to finish the pattern for the jacket today at least. And also I want to sew the wool skirt, the black wool skirt, which is what I'm going to start right now. I have also already made a video on how you can draft the pattern and how to sew an A-line skirt. I'm going to link that video in the description. And I also made a pattern for an A-line skirt that is currently being tested. If it's already out by the time this video is released, I will link it in the description as well. If not, I will update the description later once the pattern is released. It's not a very difficult thing to draft the pattern yourself using your own body measurements, so I'm going to link the video if you want to know how to make the pattern. I will use that pattern as a base today. I'm going to alter it a little bit because I want it to be a bit more flared, and I also don't want to have a slit on any of the sides because the main reason for me to choose wool to make the skirt is so it's warmer for me, and if I add a slit then the wind is going to come in anyways, so it kind of loses the point. But not adding a slit is going to make the sewing steps even more simple because I won't have to sew the front panels to each other, finish it, and top stitch the slit or anything. They're going to be just 1 panel to the front and 1 panel to, well, 2 panels to the back, because I think I'm going to keep adding the zipper to the center back. But yeah, it's gonna make it even more simple and faster to sew as well. So that is what I'm gonna start right now, the wool skirt. And I think last time I talked about the wool skirt, I said I wasn't completely sure if I was gonna make it a half circle skirt or a flared A-line skirt, and I have decided to make it flared because this is pretty heavy. So the less fabric that I use, the better for the luggage, because there's limited space and limited weight to take with me. So this is the original pattern piece. I just had to lengthen it a little bit from the original one because I am very tall. But now what I'm going to do is, this is the back, by the way. I'm going to transfer the dart to the flare. Like, let me show you. I'm just going to take the first leg of the dart and place it on top of the other like this. And immediately the skirt is a lot more flared. As you can see, like this entire part right here will be more volume. And I'll do the same thing to the front. I cut off the seam allowance here, and now I'm just going to overlap like this, the same way that I did for the back. I decided to cut the inner waistband in a different fabric because this one is a little bit rough on the skin, so since this part is going to be in contact with my waist all the time, I cut it in this that's not itchy at all. And I'll sew them on the opposite side because they have to be mirrored once we sew them right sides together later. So a little update. Yesterday I was able to finish the wool skirt. I still need to hem the bottom because my overlocker ran out of black thread and I was a little bit too lazy to change. So I didn't do it, but it's pretty quick, so it's okay. And I also need to add the little hook and eye closure to the top of the waistband because I didn't sew the zipper all the way up, but it's basically finished. I'm just not sure if I like how flared it is. I think I flared it too much. I think it should have been a little bit less flared, so I might change that, but I'm scared of changing it and just ruining it, so I don't know. It's not bad. I just think it's a little bit too flared, but I still like it. It also works well with the gingham top, not this one, the other gingham top. This one isn't actually the same fabric. I made this years before from a thrifted pair of pants that I got. It actually matches so well with the fabric of the skirt. You can barely tell that it's a different fabric. But anyways, yesterday I also worked on the pattern for the wool jacket. It's basically finished, the pattern. I spent a lot of time doing that because I had to make like a base jacket pattern from scratch and then alter it. And I was also deciding whether I should add style lines or not, because in the beginning I kind of wanted to add like seams in the front, make it a little bit more tight fitting in the back, and like add a yoke to the back. But then I have never worked with wool before, like this thick wool before. I have done that with denim jackets that were not super thick, but I've never worked with wool. And then I tried making some tests, like I sewed 2 layers together and then I top stitched it to the side and it ended up being super stiff. So I'm not sure if it's gonna be a good idea for me to do that because I don't want to have to start over. I don't have enough time to order more fabric to make another one, and I don't want to ruin this fabric. So I think I'm just going to stick with the basic. I'm going to leave the seams for another time, and I'm going to make it like just a front panel, a back panel, sleeves, and the collar. I even decided to leave out like a collar stand. In the beginning I did draft a collar stand, but then I decided to take it off because so many layers, I'm scared that it's going to look strange. But I'm also not sure if it's a good idea for me not to add even a collar stand. I don't know. And I tested many times. I altered the fit a couple of times on Clo 3D using my own mannequin, so which is great because my arms are very long and I noticed that it was a little bit too short with the original drafting that I made, which is using the sizes from my size chart, so not my own sizes, so it makes sense that it would be a little bit too short, so I had to add like 5 centimeters to the sleeve, and also I ended up shortening it. It's going to end around my natural waist now. I debated a lot whether I should have made it longer, like hitting like a high hip or hitting the waist. I decided to make it ending at the waist because the other jackets that I plan on taking with me are already longer, so I think a shorter jacket would look a little bit better with dresses. But the issue is, I thought I had matching thread already, and it turns out I don't. I have these 3 different shades of green here, and none of the 3 are a good match with the wool. This one is the closest one that I have, but it's too bright, so you can still see the thread contrasting. I don't think you'll be able to see with the camera, but you can still see the thread when you put it on top. So I'm still gonna have to buy new thread, and I don't think I'm gonna have time to do it today. So I will postpone working on the jacket for a little bit. Maybe in 2 days I'll come back and work on it because I still have to finish everything with the Marcella vest, Marcella top pattern. I'm still, like, right before filming this, I actually filmed the part that I'm talking to the camera on the video tutorial, and I also need to finish the PDF instructions, like check if everything is correct. I have also already illustrated everything, so that takes quite a bit of time, so I think I'm going to focus on that today. Since I don't have matching thread, I'm not gonna be able to go out. And the white cotton for the other dress hasn't arrived yet either. So I'm gonna have to take a little break from this video. But I'm gonna go back as soon as I get the new thread, which I plan to do very soon. And here's the skirt. You cannot see all the way to the hem, but it fits really well and I really like it. So I'll see you again in a few days. Cutting the wool was basically a nightmare because the layers were very thick and my hands were cramping the whole time. And the little tip that I found when I was searching about working with wool was that you shouldn't really use your really good scissors to cut wool because since the fabric is pretty thick, it will end up dulling the blade very quickly and also put a lot of tension into spreading the legs apart. So I didn't use my good ones. I actually used these that were way cheaper, and they did in fact get pretty dull afterwards, so it was a good idea to use them instead of those. But yeah, cutting it was pretty hard. But I was able to basically assemble the entire shell yesterday, which is a little spoiler. Another tip that I got about jackets is about the color drafting. I made 2 different pattern pieces for the collar. The under collar is slightly smaller than the upper collar because of the way that it will lay afterwards. And according to tailoring techniques, if you're using woven fabrics, you should cut your undercolor on the bias so it has a little bit of stretch and it looks better afterwards, and on 2 separate pieces. So the seam right in the middle of the undercolor adds a little bit more structure to the color itself. And I was a bit scared at first, but everything worked out perfectly. First I sewed the undercolor pieces to each other, and then I top stitched the center seam for more structure. Then I placed the undercolor and the upper color right sides together, and I stitched, leaving the bottom open to turn the right sides out later. Then I trimmed and top stitched and started working on the bodice, which was way more simple. I added stay tape to the shoulders of the front and of the back because that part needed to be reinforced. And then I sewed the front and the back right sides together. And then I started sewing the collar to the neckline, matching the notches. I made a mark on the pattern to show where exactly the collar should end. And I also matched the center back, and then I eased the rest around. Then I sewed the sleeves right sides together. And the sleeve cap is a little bit wider than the sleeve opening because it needs to have a little bit of ease. So before I sewed the sleeves to the bodice, I actually ran a gathering stitch at the top, at the cap. Then I pinned the sleeve matching the underarm seam, the front and back notches, and the shoulder point, and sewed. And the shell was basically finished after that. I think the camera is a little bit too zoomed in. And I also basically finished sewing the lining pieces as well, the front and the back. I don't know if you can see, but the back's lining has this pleat right here for more comfort when we're moving. I even filmed the process as well, but I'm gonna have to discard this and not use it at all because I think I made a mistake with the pattern making. I think the jacket ended up being way too short. I'll try it on so you can see. I think this is right on the limit of being way too short because I'm still gonna have to hem it, so it's gonna be even shorter. And whenever I'm wearing a top underneath, it just shows because it's a little bit higher than my natural waist. When I tested it on Clothes 3D, the avatar wasn't wearing any clothes, like wasn't wearing pants, so I didn't know exactly where the actual pants would sit. So I thought the height was perfect for the avatar, but now that I have tried this on with pants, I think it's way too short. I do not have enough fabric to start the jacket over from scratch, but I do have enough to add like a waistband. So even though I decided in the beginning that I wanted a very simple design, now I'm gonna have to end up adding a waistband so it's a little bit lower on my body. I have to be careful not to cover the microphone again like last time, but this is how it's supposed to be when it's closed. But now I'm gonna have to cut the lining pieces again because they're gonna have to be a little bit longer than I previously cut them. And I also decided to change the facing pieces a little bit too. On the new lining, I added a wider front facing here. Let me pick up the pattern piece so you can see. The new one's gonna be like this. And I decided to make it a little bit wider because this jacket keeps opening up like this. I don't know if it will keep doing this after I have already sewn the facing to it, because then it will be thicker, and I think part of it is because it's too light, so the color is kind of pulling it open. But as a precaution, I decided to add a wider facing because just in case it shows, it will be the actual fabric, it won't be the darker lining showing out. At first, I made it like this because I wanted to keep it less itchy as possible, but the color by itself is already pretty itchy in contact with my neck, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to escape it anyways. But today I'm gonna try my best to finish at least the lining because I'm gonna have to start over from scratch. And I'll also try to line the entire jacket. I'm going to leave the finishing touches for tomorrow, but I wanna be able to basically get it done by today. And it will be the first time that I fully line a jacket like this, because the other times that I've made jackets, they were made out of denim, so I didn't actually need to line it. So it was basically way easier than this, so I feel like right now I'm gonna have to be really focused so I don't make any mistakes. But I'm gonna get started now so I have enough time to finish this today. So yesterday I was not able to do much. I was really tired because I was still recovering from Lady Gaga's concert that happened here in Copacabana in Rio. I had actually mentioned it the last time that I talked to the camera, but I decided to edit it out last minute because until 1 hour before leaving, I wasn't really sure if I was gonna be brave enough to go or not. Because even though I really wanted to go, I was so scared of like being in such a huge crowd. The official numbers are like 2.1 million people that actually attended the concert, which is insane. And last year we had Madonna, which gathered over 1 million people too. I think it was 1.6 million people that went to see Madonna last year. I had friends that went and I just kept thinking that they were crazy for doing that until Lady Gaga was announced to be the performer of this year. I couldn't see her at all, only through the screens, and I was so emotional throughout the entire concert because of how many people were like together singing every single like lyric of her music. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos or videos of the concert itself. Some people were commenting like on TikToks, like, oh my god, no phones in sight, everyone's just living in the moment. And yeah, we're all living in the moment, but I didn't even take my phone because I'm not that crazy. Like, I didn't want to get robbed. So everyone was in fact living in the moment. But I feel like most people were just scared of being robbed like I was. But it was amazing, something that I think I'll never forget. When Shallow started to play, I started sobbing like right away, like everyone singing together, like that crowd, like the sound of everyone singing together. And then right after Shallow, she started singing Vanish Into You, which is by far my favorite song from her new album Mayhem. And I was sobbing the whole time that song was playing, like I was jumping around like crazy and just sobbing. But yeah, finished cutting the lining and the facing for a second time, and now I'm gonna try to assemble all of the pieces together. And I'm gonna come back when I'm done. Ta-da! I also added my label here to the top, and I kept the same ease pleats to the center back for more comfort on the lining. And it was so quick to make. It's not even the next day or anything. I totally did everything that I planned to do yesterday. I totally finished the jacket. Now I'm going to add the sleeves just like I did for the shell, and then I'm going to attach the lining to the shell. Yesterday I also added a little waistband to the bottom of the jacket. I don't know if I love it, to be honest. I wish it was just longer by itself without needing the waistband, but it was too short. I made a mistake. So now there's nothing I can do. And now I'm going to place the lining right sides together with the shell, and I'm going to sandwich the color between the lining and the shell. You can kind of see like the little structure that the seam in the middle gives. Pretty good. And I'm going to pin it all around. This is so bulky though. Kind of scared that it's gonna look bad. To be honest, I was kind of afraid that the machine wouldn't be able to handle it, because look how thick this is. Especially at the shoulders, there are even more layers here, and even at the shoulders, it barely struggled. It just sewed as if it was a very thin layer, so I'm really impressed. And now of course I need to trim this because otherwise it's gonna be too bulky. Okay, this is gonna take a while. And now I'm going to pin the back, but I'm going to leave a hole in the middle of the back without sewing so I can use it to turn it right sides out later. Before I insert the sleeves, I think I'm just going to top stitch around here. I'm going to leave the bottom open so I can fix the sleeves and everything. I'm going to top stitch the bottom later, but I'm going to iron all of the edges and then top stitch all around here to set everything in place. I was able to be pretty consistent with the top stitching, so I'm pretty proud of that. And look how it looks on the inside. So clean. I think it's gonna look better once everything's finished, but now I have to sew the sleeves. I'm going to put them properly the lining is shorter than the shell. And this is the part that I'm not really sure how to do. Just make sure that it's not twisted inside. I'm matching. Now I'm going to fold it and pin them together like this, just for like referencing the position. It's not going to be sewn from here. Well, it could be. I guess it could be. It was not how I saw, but I guess it could be done like this, just sewn all around, but I'm going to pull it from the inside. Now that it's pinned, I'm going to reach and pull the sleeve out. In theory, I guess this is how it's done. I'm not sure. Wait. So turns out I was actually right. I finished the first one off camera just to be sure, but now I'm going to do the other one. So I'm going to use less pins this time because the pins made it a little bit more confusing. I'm going to reach from the inside, pull the sleeves out, and I'm going to place them right sides together all around the opening. Now I can take the first pin off. And I'm going to sew it all around the opening, making sure not to catch anything, just the 2 layers. Now pull it right sides out again. And since the lining is a little bit shorter than the shell, it's going to stay inside. I made the lining, I think, 3 centimeters shorter than the shell. And now I can iron it and top stitch if I want. I'm going to see if I'm going to top stitch it here or not. And also, I'm going to iron it 1 centimeter inside here, pin it right sides together, and top stitch the entire bottom. Hello! It's been a few days. I have, ever since, finished the jacket by adding the buttons and also making the buttonholes on the other side and finishing the hem. I decided on these silver ones that are usually used for denim, but out of the ones that I had, I think they were the best match. And in the end, I really liked the waistband. I didn't mind it at all, which is great because by the middle of it, I was pretty sure that I was gonna hate the jacket, but I actually didn't. I loved it. It's perfect. But unfortunately, I am totally running out of time, so I don't think I'll be able to finish the white dress. At least not in time to take it with me to the trip or film everything and edit and upload a video. But I'll make sure to buy some really nice fabric while I'm there, so I can make it as soon as I'm back. It makes me so sad not to finish it this time, but I'm honestly so stressed right now, so I think it's best to just leave it as it is. Oh, and if you're from London or Paris and you have any fabric store recommendations for me, please let me know in the comments. I have Googled and I have saved some, but I would love to get your recommendations. For my second day in London, I know that I'm going to visit the Liberty store, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy anything from there because the fabrics are really expensive, so I'll only really buy it if it's something really special. But please let me know your favorite fabric stores from London and Paris so I can visit them. I'll try to vlog the trip, at least some parts of it. I have never done that before, so I don't know how well it will go, but I'll try. And then when I'm back, I'll work on the tutorial for the dress and also work on the pattern. So now I'll try the pieces I made so you can see how they turned out. I'll start with the gingham 2-piece set. I just loved it so much. The top and the skirt look so cute together as a dress, and also I think the second strap that I added really elevated the top. I think it made it look so much better than if you only had one. And I love the skirt. I think I'll wear it so much because I just love this print in general, and I think we'll be able to match it with a lot of different tops. And here I'm trying the top with a basic pair of black pants. I think it also works really well. And now the skirt with a different top. This is the Marcella top and it's the view A of the pattern. The pattern will be coming out very soon. I think maybe in 2 weeks from the day this video is released. I'm going to write it on the screen, the exact day that I plan on releasing it, but I'm just adding the final touches to the video and the pattern is almost there. This outfit is so me with the denim top and the skirt. And I really like the fact that it has a zipper because it makes it so much easier to put it on and take it off. Now the wool skirt, I decided to keep it as it was. I didn't taper the flare at all. I think it was a good choice. And it's a very warm and basic skirt that I'll be able to also match with a lot of different tops. This time I'm styling it with the Marcella vest as well. It's the view B of the pattern, and in my opinion was also a very successful make. Now the AIMEE by Cut dress, I have added the lining of the skirt, and this is the inside of the dress. It looks really pretty and really well finished. As you can see, I am very proud of the finishes on the inside. And I think this was my favorite AIMEE dress that I've made. I just love the fabric and the print. I think it looks so chic, and I can totally see myself wearing this in the south of France when it's a little bit warmer because this fabric is really breathable. It's made out of cotton and the lining is a very lightweight viscose rayon. And it also matches really well with the green wool jacket. So in case I feel a little bit chill, I can just put it on and I'll be pretty warm because this is hot. Like, I am melting every time that I put this on here. And I am so proud of the way that the inside turned out. Like, it's so well finished. There aren't any unfinished seams because it's fully lined, and I'm very proud with the construction. I think I should have just added some interfacing to the center front where the buttons and the buttonholes are, but my original intention was to make the shoulders a little bit like more drop down, more oversized. So it was kind of a miss on the pattern making part, but I do like it as well like this. I just imagined it differently when I decided to make it. But as I said, I do plan on working on releasing this as a pattern later down in the year, so you can also give me your opinion. Do you think I should make it a little bit more oversized? Should I drop the shoulders a little bit more, or should I keep it like this? And also, should I drop the waistband altogether or should I keep the waistband? Because I can just make it at one piece and make it a little bit longer, but in the end I actually did like the waistband. So if you would like to get this pattern later, give me your opinions. Should I alter it? Should I keep it exactly as it is? Let me know. I just know that overall I am very, very happy with all the pieces that I made. I think this is the biggest number of pieces that I've sewn for just one video, and also one of the videos that took me the longest to make, because by far it's been 2 weeks just of filming, of sewing everything, not even counting the editing. I don't even know how long it will be in the end. It will probably be the longest video that I've made. But in the end, I just really loved every single piece that I made, thankfully. I feel like I made a really good call on picking up the fabrics and also the prints, because they kind of all go with each other. And they also go really well with other clothes that I plan on taking with me. I can't even choose which one exactly was my favorite, because I just really liked all of them. But I think if I had to choose, would maybe be the AIMEE biscuit dress, because I just love this silhouette so much, and I know that I'm going to wear this a lot. I'm actually planning on taking 2 other AIMEE biscuit dresses with me. Or the jacket, even though it didn't turn out exactly the way that I was imagining, I really liked the way it looks. But I feel like I'll also wear the skirt so much, so I don't know. I don't know, you tell me which one was your favorite. And my next video will be the sewing tutorial for the Marcella vest that is coming out very soon. After that, I don't have any other videos filmed though, so if I do manage to vlog the trip, then that will be my next upload after the Marcella tutorial. But I know that the first video that I'll film once I'm back is to sew pieces of clothing inspired by the trip, like using fabrics that I got there, which I'm so excited for. So I hope you stick around for that one too. And if you like the video, don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I cannot believe I am finished with this video. I was so stressed. I'm gonna go because there's still so much that I need to do. I've been so anxious for the past few weeks that I'm having trouble sleeping, which is not something that really happens to me, but I hope everything works out and I go and return safely. I've only ever taken really short flights, so it's my first time flying internationally, and I'm very anxious about spending so many hours in the plane, but everything will work out. If you're still here, thank you for watching until the end. That was a very long one. Bye!